The Darien Gap, an imposing swath of jungle between Colombia and Panama, stands as one of the most challenging and dangerous barriers to modern transportation. Spanning approximately 100 miles of dense, nearly impenetrable rainforest, the Darien Gap disrupts the Pan-American Highway, which would otherwise connect the continents of North and South America seamlessly. This treacherous stretch is virtually impassable by car due to a combination of extreme natural and logistical obstacles, as well as security concerns. The region is marked by thick forests, muddy swamps, mountainous terrain, and frequent torrential rain, creating a physical environment that defies the development of infrastructure. For any car attempting to traverse the gap, the terrain poses an immediate and overwhelming obstacle. The dense rainforest floor is a chaotic maze of tangled roots, vines, and underbrush that would immobilize vehicles not specially equipped for off-road conditions. Even heavy-duty off-road vehicles would struggle, as the region's ubiquitous mud swamps can swallow cars whole. The swampy areas of the Darien have earned a reputation for ensnaring even the toughest vehicles, making consistent traction virtually impossible. Rain and fluctuating water levels exacerbate these conditions, often turning clearings into deep, impassable pools. Any attempt to forge a road or a vehicle path through this swampy terrain would require extensive land clearing and drainage efforts that are both cost-prohibitive and environmentally damaging, leading to consistent opposition from both locals and conservationists alike. Beyond the natural barriers, the Darien Gap presents formidable logistical challenges that render vehicle crossings impractical. The region lacks any existing road infrastructure, and any effort to build such infrastructure would face immense technical and financial hurdles. Building roads in the Darien Gap would involve deforestation, extensive earthmoving, and the construction of numerous bridges over rivers, which would likely be destroyed by the area's heavy rainfall and flooding. Furthermore, the lack of nearby supply lines, fuel stations, and other essential resources makes it difficult to support any lengthy construction project, let alone a safe passage for vehicles. Any attempt to transport fuel, equipment, or personnel to the site would require crossing dense jungle terrain and dangerous waterways, further raising costs and risks. Adding to the already arduous physical conditions are significant human and security issues. The Darien Gap has long been known as a hotspot for illegal activities, including drug trafficking, human smuggling, and the presence of armed paramilitary groups. These groups use the region's inaccessibility to their advantage, and their presence poses serious risks to anyone attempting to cross. Even well-equipped and trained teams have faced ambushes, kidnappings, and violent encounters within the gap. This situation complicates any potential plans for safe vehicle passage, as constructing and maintaining infrastructure would require ongoing security measures that are both costly and challenging to enforce. Travelers, especially foreigners unfamiliar with the area, are often advised to avoid it due to the high probability of encountering these dangerous elements. The region also presents ecological and environmental challenges that deter development efforts. The Darien Gap is one of the world's most biodiverse ecosystems, home to countless rare and endangered species of flora and fauna. Environmental activists and organizations have long argued against constructing any road or infrastructure that would cut through this pristine jungle, fearing that such development could irreparably damage the region's delicate ecosystems. The gap serves as an important ecological buffer, protecting the indigenous cultures and diverse wildlife from the encroachment of modern civilization. Attempts to build infrastructure here would disrupt the migratory paths of animals, disturb local habitats, and potentially introduce invasive species, all of which would have cascading effects on the local environment. Consequently, environmental opposition to the construction of roads through the Darien Gap remains strong, further hindering the development of any vehicle-accessible route. Furthermore, the indigenous communities that inhabit the Darien Gap hold strong cultural and territorial rights to the land. Groups like the Embera, Wunan, and Kuna have lived in the Darien for centuries, relying on the forest for their way of life. They have consistently resisted government efforts to develop infrastructure in the area, viewing such projects as a direct threat to their cultural heritage and traditional way of life. The indigenous groups have expressed concerns that a road would bring unwanted external influences, disrupt their communities, and lead to an influx of outsiders that could threaten their cultural identity. These communities have legitimate legal rights to the land, recognized by both national and international law, which further complicates any attempt to create a vehicle route across the gap. The geopolitical context also plays a role in the continued absence of a road through the Darien Gap. Colombia and Panama have historically had differing views on whether to connect their borders with infrastructure. While Colombia has occasionally shown interest in establishing a connection to improve trade and reduce the reliance on air and sea transport, Panama has been more cautious, preferring to maintain the natural barrier to prevent the spread of illicit activities and preserve its unique ecological environment. The Panamanian government, in particular, has cited security concerns related to Colombia's ongoing struggles with narcotics trafficking and paramilitary groups. Maintaining the Darien Gap as a natural barrier offers Panama some control over the flow of people and goods, helping the country manage border security and protect its sovereignty. In light of these combined natural, logistical, human, environmental, cultural, and geopolitical barriers, it is clear why no vehicle-friendly route has been established across the Darien Gap. The region's physical landscape is harsh and unforgiving, marked by mud swamps, dense forests, and impassable rivers, while the human and ecological complexities add further layers of difficulty. For those attempting to cross, the journey remains a daunting endeavor, as the unique challenges of the Darien Gap continue to resist the ambitions of modern infrastructure. As a result, the Pan-American Highway remains broken at this one point, symbolizing the limits of human engineering when confronted by one of the Earth's last wild frontiers.